What is up, guys? Adam from Hooked Fishing here today, and I'm going to be talking to you about line. Now, line may not seem very important, but it can make or break you in some situations whenever you're fishing, so let's get right into it. Now, whenever you first start bass fishing, or any type of fishing, it can be pretty intimidating with how many different brands, styles, and just all over the place with all the different line companies, poundage, all that stuff. So, in this video, I'm going to try to clear up some of that confusion and explain what line's best for certain situations and what pound test to go with and what pound test not to go with for certain situations. Let's start with monofilament fishing line. Now, monofilament is very popular because of the price point. It's probably the cheapest fishing line out there, and it's been around for a really long time. This is probably one of the original types of line that was out there. So, monofilament, some of the pros to it is it floats, so for topwater lures it's great, and it has a lot of stretch in it, which can be a pro or a con, because you want to have stretch whenever you're fishing moving baits like crankbaits or spinner baits, something that you want the fish to be able to get a little bit of leverage before the hooks completely drive into them. It'll help you better with hookup ratio and all that, but it can be bad whenever you're fishing baits that you want to get a straight hook set into, so say you're flipping a jig or something. So that's the pros and cons of monofilament. Now, what I generally do with monofilament is I'm pretty much only using it for topwater lures at this point, so I like to use it within the 12 to 15 pound range for throwing like Zara spooks and all that different type of stuff. So if I'm throwing in the lake cover with topwater lure, monofilament's my choice. Next we'll get into fluorocarbon. Now actually I have no fluorocarbon with me. I have fluoro clear, which is probably the closest thing I have to, which is actually a copolymer, but we'll get into that later. The reason I don't have any fluorocarbon with me is the price point for me is just out of my budget right now. I can't afford to be spooling my reels up with straight fluorocarbon, so I switched to copolymers. Now, the reason you want to go with fluorocarbon is it's the only line that is proven to be virtually invisible underwater. So that's one of the great pros to it, is it is invisible underwater. It doesn't have as much stretch as mono, which can be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it, and it sinks. So it's great for moving baits like crankbaits. If you're in a clear body of water, I'll definitely recommend fluorocarbon because it's going to give you that stealth advantage where the fish aren't going to see your line from a mile away because it's clear and virtually invisible to them. Now the next line we're going to get into is the line that I use the most personally, and that is copolymer line. Now for copolymer line, the reason why it is so good is it gives you extra knot strength whenever you're tying your knots and stuff. The line is super abrasion resistant, which means if you're banging off the rocks and stuff, it's going to hold up a little bit better than monofilament or fluorocarbon. And lastly, the price point. It's very affordable and it's a strong line. Now, for copolymer, there is one brand that I will recommend to you, and that is P-Line. I love this P-Line CXX extra strong crystal clear stuff. It's my go-to line now for any diving baits like swim baits, crankbaits, anything that dives, I go with P-Line CXX crystal clear. So that's why you want to use copolymer. As for poundage with that, I like to use 12 pound for deeper water because you can get away with it, less visibility down deep. And where there's more visibility up shallow, I like to use 10 pound copolymer. Last but not least is braid. Now braid is one of the most popular types of line out there because a lot of people like to use it pretty much on anything and just tie a leader to it. I'm not really a big fan of tying a leader, so if I'm going to be throwing braid, it's most likely going to be straight braid, except for the rare situation if I'm flipping a jig or something and I want to tie a leader to have heavy braid from throwing in the heavy cover, but most of the time I'll be throwing straight braid. Now, personally I like to throw heavier braid because I'm going to be using it for heavier situations. So I have 2 spools of the Stealth by Spider Wire 65 pound braid. Now 65 pounds may seem like a lot, but whenever you're throwing in the heavy lily pads of the frog, it's really not that much. So don't be afraid to go heavy if you're fishing that type of stuff. You'd rather be able to have the leverage to get the fish out of it than not. Now the main pros and cons to braid are it floats, so topwater lures again, and it has zero stretch, which means if say you're flipping a heavy mat or something and you set the hook in that fish, all that pressure from your hook set's going straight into the fish. You're going to get really good hook set that way. Fishing, flipping, jigs, whatever you want to talk about, it will get really good hook penetration with that. But one of the downfalls to it is that it floats. So if you're going to be throwing any moving baits, I would strongly not recommend using braid. I'd recommend using either mono or copolymer, whatever you want, just not braid for moving baits. So that's the 4 types of line out there. I hope this video helps you guys out if you're just getting into it and want to know what each type of line is for and what purposes are good for it, what's bad for it, the pros and the cons. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them below. And like this video if it helped you out. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, and as always, stay hooked.